Hello, today I will be troubleshooting and tracing and finally fixing a PABX extension that is bad. You can see this particular extension I'm working on is bad. There is no tone on the cables. There is actually tone on it, but the problem with it is that one of the cable is short. It has cut and it is now short, so I can't reach out to it to connect it to the port. So right now I'm going to test each of the cables that is supposed to be the PABX cable to confirm which of them has the dial tone on it. So I'm going to be needing my multimeter and I'm going to set it to read 200 volts because the standard voltage of PABX cable with tone on it is around 50 volts. So I'll continue tracing until I'm able to find out that particular cable that has a dial tone on it. So I have checked the couple and I've not been able to find out a dial tone on any one. But I know what the problem is likely with a cable that has become short, or the cable has cut and it has become short. I can't reach out to it any longer. So I'll keep on checking. You can see there is a cable inside. This cable inside it is now too short for me to work with it in any way. So I will just check if that is the cable I'm looking for that has a dial tone on it. So I'll check it and I'll check against my multimeter. Okay, no, that is not it. I'll check with another cable again. There's no dial tone on this one. There's no dial tone on this one either. There's no dial tone on it. So let's check. There's another cable inside. There are two short cable inside. I'll check if that is the cable that has a dial tone on it. So if I'm able to find out the color cable of the cable that has a dial tone on it, then I'll go back to the box itself, to the extension box, and I'll just change the cable, swap the cable with another color cable. Okay, yeah, that is it. You can see it's reading 50 volts. So let me bring the multimeter closer so that the camera can pick it. You can see this short cable. I'm going to put my one probe on it and then put my one probe on the other short cable inside. You can see it's now reading around 50 volts. You can see it's reading around 50 volts, which means this is the cable. So I'll check the color of this particular cable, and for what I can see, the color of this cable is orange. This is orange cable, although it's too short for the camera to pick it, but I can see from here that the cable is orange cable. So what I'll do right now, I'll go back to the PABX box. This is the PABX box. This is a TD100 Panasonic PABX box. You can see it's here, TD100 Panasonic PABX board. This has around 4 cards on it, and then it's quite rugged PABX, and it has been around for years. A lot of top organizations use it, especially if you're running a lot of PABX extension or intercom extension in your office or your organization. So what I'm going to do right now, that is a Chrome box that the PABX box is sitting on. I'm going to carry it out so that I can get access to it. But from what I can see right now, is a bit messy. I think that people that did the job, they didn't really plan it out well. It's a bit messy right now due to the fact that it has been operational for some years now, and then everything is a bit messed up. So what I will try to do right now is to fix the problem, and then I'll come back and then rearrange the cables neatly the way they ought to be. Woo! You can see the way it is, they're all messed up. A lot of work needs to be done here, a lot of tracing, but first of all, I'll resolve the issue so that the user of this particular extension can work with it for the meantime. Then I'll come back some other time and then I will rearrange the cables neatly, and each of them has to be numbered. Now this is the Chrome. These are all Chrome's extension that the Amphenol cables supplies and dial tone to. You can see they're around 8. They're around 8. So I'll get my telephone. This is what I'm going to be using, and I'll get a cable one of the end of the cable has to be stripped, so that when I connect one end to the cable, the next end of the cable is going to go direct into the extension which the Amphenol cable that is coming from the PABX connects to. So I'll keep it somewhere. The reason why I'm doing this is that I want to be able to find out the number, the extension number I'm working on, before I can do anything. You can see on this particular spot the extension numbers are not written out, which is one of the mistakes that is made. Normally on this particular panel, you are supposed to write out which extension number goes into which port, so that it will be easy for repairs later in future, either if you're the engineer fixing it or another engineer is coming to fix it. But right now that is not the case. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to be able to find out the number. Now you need a console to do this, a console, that a display phone that can display the number that is being called. So I'm going to strip one end of this cable, just like I'm doing right now. Oh, sorry for that, the camera is shaking. I'll resolve that. Okay, so I'm going to strip one end of the cable. You can see I've stripped one end of the cable, and I've stripped the other end of the cable too. They are now stripped. So I will connect it to the port to find out exactly which of the ports has the extension number 107. The extension number I'm working on is supposed to be 107. So I'll fix these cables into the ports one by one, and then I'll call out to the console at the reception where there is a display phone that can display the numbers that is being called. So I'll call it out until I am able to get that number, extension number 107. If I'm able to get the extension number 107, then I will begin work on it. Remember, the color coding of the number that we have there is orange. So when I call out the number and I'm able to find the extension 107, is going to be orange also. And then, so I think extension 107 should be this. I've been able to call out, and then the extension number should be around that area, which is the orange, cable. Okay, I want to bring the camera closer so that you can see what I'm doing. You can see it's a bit messy up here. You have to be very, very careful while working on this port here, because so not to disconnect another one. You can see that is the orange box, the orange cable. So I'm going to trace the orange cable down to its main cable, because the cable has other cables on it, around 4 other cables on it. So I'm going to trace it out to find out its own cable, and then when I'm able to get its own cable, I would take another cable from that cable, and then I'll switch it. So that is why it is advisable to always use 8-line cable. I normally use 8-line Cat6 cable, and the reason for this is because if one line fails, it's easier for me to switch to another line. But nowadays there's this cables with only 4 lines inside. If one line fails, you only have the option of fixing another line on it, swapping it to another line before it becomes redundant. Okay, you can see this is, I've been able to find another cable from that line, and this is the blue cable. This blue cable is coming out from that same line, from that same cable that the orange cable is coming from. So I'm going to strip the ends, because I'm going to fix this cable to the port that has the orange cable, that is the 107 extension port that I'm working on, so that I can get a longer cable at the other end for me to work with. So I've been able to strip the cables, so I'm going to connect the cables to it and go back there to confirm that the cable has a diatone on it. So instead of the orange cable that was there before, which is now short, too short for me to connect anything on it, I now swapped it to a blue cable from the same cable. It has to be from the same cable going to the same extension port. So I'll swap it to a blue cable. What I'm going to do right now is to confirm that the blue cable is okay. Okay, so it is done now. What I'll do right now is to punch it in. I'm going to be using a scissors to punch it in, but ideally you're supposed to get a puncher to punch it in, but because I'm still testing it, I don't want to fix it in and then it becomes hard for me to pull it out. So that's why I will just use the tip of a scissors to just gently pull it in gently. Then I'll go over to the port, to the extension port, and then I'll test it. If it has a diatone on it and everything is correct, then I can come back and use a puncher to punch it in securely the way it ought to be. So this is it. It is all done now, and then I've been able to swap the cable to a blue cable. I've been able to swap the cable to a blue cable, and then I'm going to cover it up right now. This is a cover for it. I don't want to leave it open like that. I am going to cover it up with this. I'm going to cover it up with this. Okay, so it is covered right now. I will go back to the main extension area and I will confirm that it is fine. Okay, so I'm back at the extension outlet. This is the blue cable. Remember, we swap it to a blue cable at the other end. So I'm going to confirm the voltage on it. The voltage should be around 50 volt. Volt that has a diatone on it should be around 50 volt. Sometimes it can be less, 40, 35, can still have a voltage reading on it. So I'm going to set my multimeter to read 200 volt, and then I'm going to check the two ends to see the voltage that it is reading. Alright, you can see that the volt is plus or minus around 50 volt. This is around 49. It's around 50 volt. So let's see again. You can see the voltage reading is around 49, 48. It's around, you see, 50 volt. You can see it is 50 volt, which means everything is fine at the other end. So what I need to do right now is to pack the wires that I won't be needing neatly so that there won't be any form of breach there, and I'm going to tape the wires together because I don't want any form of interference from any other cables that is not needed for the work. I don't want any form of interference from okay, so this is the regular intercom cable. It has around four cables on it. I am going to be using one of the cables. I will be using the green cable on it. I'll be using the green cable. So I'll strip the end. The reason is because I want to connect it to the other blue end of the other blue cable. Then I'll call out to be sure everything is fine, and to be sure that I didn't misplace the number, that I didn't use another number instead. So I have called out to the console, the main display console, just to be sure that the extension is still the old extension that used to be there, the old extension number, which is 107. So I'm going to connect the two cables together, and I'm going to dial out 107. You can see that there's a dial tone on it, 101. 101 is the main extension to the console. So that is what I'm going to dial right now. And then from what I can see, I think the extension is fine. You can see these two cables right now. I'm going to connect it to a port. I'll get another port and connect it to the port so that everything becomes neat, and I'm going to close it off so that nobody steps on it. So I'm going to be using a floor trunk like this to connect it. This is a floor trunk, and that is what I'm going to be using to connect it.